We have only seen the first few days of Donald Trump's administration, but that has not stopped the outpouring of contempt and condemnation towards the disastrous decisions that Donald Trump has already made, putting tens of millions, hundreds of millions, all American lives in danger, at risk, in chaos immediately in his administration. And like I said, that has resulted in so many people stepping up to call Donald Trump out. But of all those voices, two really surprised me. The first being Mike Pence, who just went public with a statement on Trump that is absolutely screwing him over. And the second and most surprising person to condemn Donald Trump's administration is Donald Trump. And we are going to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way and it really means the world to me. Now, of course, we have seen the confirmation hearings of Donald Trump's wholly unqualified cabinet nominees lately. And in RFK Jr.'s recent confirmation hearing, things got pretty dark really fast because of how dangerous he is. And that is why we saw a statement from Mike Pence. But before we get into that, let's check out what I think was the best takedown of the day, this clip right here.
Did you say that COVID-19 was a genetically engineered bioweapon that targets black and white people, but spared Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese people?
I didn't say it was deliberately targeted. I just quoted an NIH-funded and NIH published study.
Did you say that it targets black and white people, but spared Ashkenazi Jews?
I quoted a study, Your Honor. I quoted an NIH study that showed that.
I'll take that as a yes. I have to move on, I have to move on. Did you say that Lyme disease is highly likely a materially engineered bioweapon? I made sure I put in the highly likely. Did you say Lyme disease is a highly likely militarily engineered bioweapon?
I probably did say that.
Did you say that?
And that's what the developer of Lyme
I want all of
disease
our
said.
colleagues to hear it, Mr. Kennedy. I want them to hear it. You said yes. Did you say that exposure to pesticides causes children to become transgender?
No, I never said that.
Okay, I have the record that I'll give to the chairman, and he can make his judgment about what you said. Did you write in your book, and it's undeniable, that African AIDS is an entirely different disease from Western AIDS? Yes or no, Mr. Kennedy?
I'm not sure if I made that.
Okay, I'll give it to the chairman, Mr. Kennedy. And my final question, did you say on a podcast, and I quote, "I wouldn't leave abortion, to the states. My belief is we should leave it to the woman. We shouldn't have the government involved, even if it's full term." Did you say that, Mr. Kennedy?
Senator, I believe that every abortion is a tragedy.
Did you say it, Mr. Kennedy? This
believe
matters. It doesn't matter what you come here and say that isn't true, that's not reflective of what you really believe, that you haven't said over decade after decade after decade, because unlike other jobs we're confirming around this place, this is a job where it is life and death for the kids that I used to work for in the Denver public schools, and for families all over this country that are suffering from living in the richest country of the world that can't deliver basic health care and basic mental health care to them. It's too important for the games that you're playing, Mr. Kennedy. And I hope my colleagues will say to the president, I have no influence over him. I hope my colleagues will say to the president, out of 330 million Americans, we can do better than this.
Senator Michael Bennet was not holding back, and I think we need that energy from Democrats right now. I've been really disappointed to see some yes votes, some votes to confirm some of Donald Trump's nominees, like Kristi Noem or Lee Zeldin, just because these people maybe aren't as extreme as a Matt Gaetz or a Pete Hegseth doesn't mean they won't be doing damage as well. Doesn't mean that confirming them doesn't just, it affirms the Trump administration as something legitimate instead of this fascist force in our government, a dictatorial force as Donald Trump would like it to be. And so we have to continue to push back with exactly that type of tone, exactly that type of energy. We need to be calling out Donald Trump. And it's not just Democrats. Like I said, Mike Pence came out against Donald Trump in his nominee for HHS Secretary in RFK Jr. with a tweet using Donald Trump's own words against him. And I want to check that out right here.
RFK Jr. is a Democrat plant, a radical left liberal. A lot of people think that Jr. is a conservative. He's not. He's more liberal than anybody running on the Democrat side. Jr. is totally anti-gun, an extreme environmentalist who makes the Green New scammers look very conservative by comparison. And he's anti-military and he's anti-vet. He's an extreme liberal. He's radical left. And so don't think you're going to vote for him and feel good. He's a radical left Democrat. I'd even take Biden over Jr. because our country would last about a year or two longer than it would with Jr. It would collapse almost immediately.
So Mike Pence posted that video, but along with it, he wrote this statement on Twitter. Pence wrote, "Trump was right the first time. Senators, vote no on RFK Jr." When even Mike Pence is breaking with Donald Trump, you know it's gotten to a pretty low point. January 6th comes to mind. Now RFK Jr. as HHS Secretary, something that is completely absurd and just unjustifiable from these Republican senators. I don't know how they're going to try to justify putting everyone in America's life in danger, especially young children who may not be vaccinated because of RFK Jr.'s wild conspiracy theories, these outbreaks of treatable and preventable diseases that are going to come because of him. And that is why he was grilled and crumbled under the pressure during his confirmation hearing. And one of the best call outs of him came from Senator Elizabeth Warren. I want to check it out.
Let's keep going. You're right to say yes, because every American has the right to know that every decision you make as our #1 health officer is to help them and not to make money for yourself in the future. So I want to talk more about money. I'm looking at your paperwork right now. In the past 2 years, you've raked in $2.5 million from a law firm called Wisner Baum. You go online, you do commercials to encourage people to sign up with Wisner Baum to join lawsuits against vaccine makers. And for everyone who signs up, you personally get paid. And if they win their case, you get 10% of what they win. So if you bring in somebody who gets $10 million, you walk away with $1 million. Now, you just said that you want the American people to know you can't be bought. Your decisions won't depend on how much money you could make in the future. You won't go to work for a drug company after you leave HHS. But you and I both know there's another way to make money. So, Mr. Kennedy, will you also agree that you won't take any compensation from any lawsuits against drug companies while you are secretary and for 4 years afterwards?
Well, I'll certainly commit to that while I'm secretary. But I do want to clarify something because you're making me sound like a shill. I put together that case. I did the Science Day presentation to the judge on that case to get it into court.
Mr. Kennedy, it's just a really simple question.
Yeah,
You've taken in $2.5 million. I want to know if you will commit right now that not only will you not go to work for drug companies, you won't go to work suing the drug companies and taking your rake out of that while you're secretary and for 4 years after. It's just...
I'll commit to not taking any fees from drug companies while I'm secretary.
No, I'm asking about fees from suing drug companies. Will you agree not to do that?
You're asking me to not sue drug companies,
no,
and I'm not going to agree to that,
drug
Senator.
Companies as much as you want.
I'm not going to agree to not sue drug companies or anybody.
So let's do a quick count here of how, as Secretary of HHS, if you get confirmed, you could influence every one of those lawsuits. Well, let me start the list. You could publish your anti-vaccine conspiracies, but this time on U.S. government letterhead, something a jury might be impressed by. You could appoint people to the CDC vaccine panel who share your anti-vax views and let them do your dirty work. You could tell the CDC vaccine panel to remove a particular vaccine from the vaccine schedule. You could remove vaccines from special compensation programs, which would open up manufacturers to mass torts. You could make more injuries eligible for compensation, even if there is no causal evidence. You could change vaccine court processes to make it easier to bring junk lawsuits. You could turn over FDA data to your friends at the law firm, and they could use it however it benefited them. You could change vaccine labeling. You could change vaccine information rules. You could change which claims are compensated in the vaccine injury compensation program. There's a lot of ways that you can influence those future lawsuits and pending lawsuits while you are Secretary of HHS, and I'm asking you to commit right now that you will not take a financial stake in every one of those lawsuits so that what you do as Secretary will also benefit you financially down the line.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You and I, you have said
You're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're doing.
Look, no one should be fooled here. As Secretary of HHS, Robert Kennedy will have the power to undercut vaccines and vaccine manufacturing across our country. And for all of his talk about follow the science and his promise that he won't interfere with those of us who want to vaccinate his kids, the bottom line is the same. Kennedy can kill off access to vaccines and make millions of dollars while he does it. Kids might die, but Robert Kennedy can keep cashing in.
Senator, I support vaccines. I support the childhood schedule. I will do that. The only thing I want is good science, and that's it.
How about then say you won't make money off what you do as Secretary of HHS?
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Once again, this is exactly the type of tone and energy we need to be bringing to all of these hearings and every way that we oppose Donald Trump. I would like to see so much more direct camera videos from these congresspeople, from senators, from House members. Just speak to your constituents, speak to us, tell us about what the situation is, tell us what you're doing to fight back against it. Not everything needs to be a memo or a press release. Sometimes you can just be real with us. And that is the raw energy we get out of these confirmation hearings. That is what we need to see more. And it's certainly what we're going to be doing. We're direct to camera every day here on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.